It was a freezing Tuesday night in the outskirts of Boston, the kind of night where even the street dogs took cover under porches. Most of the city was asleep. But for 26-year-old Eli Turner, sleep was a luxury he hadn't known in weeks. He was curled up in the back of a broken-down Chevy parked outside his auto garage, a place he no longer owned but refused to stop calling his. The bank had foreclosed on it 3 weeks ago. But Eli had nowhere else to go. He was a mechanic by trade, a dreamer by heart, and utterly alone in the world. He had no family left. His mother died of cancer when he was 16. His father walked out years before that. And the only woman he ever loved married someone who could give her the life Eli couldn't. He was the kind of man who gave everything he had, even when he had nothing left. It was in the middle of that bitter night, wrapped in a threadbare blanket, that Eli's phone buzzed. "Hello?" he said, groggy. There was a pause, then a shaky voice on the other end. A woman. Sorry to call so late. I found your flyer on the pole outside my building. It said you do electrical work too." Eli rubbed his eyes. He had taped that flyer up a month ago. He didn't even remember doing it. He was desperate then, he still was. "Yes, ma'am. What's the problem?" "My bedroom light just sparked and went out. I know it's late. I'll pay double. I really don't want to sleep in the dark." There was something fragile in her voice. Not spoiled or demanding, just scared. Eli didn't hesitate. "Text me your address. I'll be there in 20. She lived in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Boston. When Eli's rusted-out truck rolled past the massive iron gate, he thought he was dreaming. The mansion was 3 stories high, nestled on a hill, with long glass windows and soft garden lights glowing like something out of a movie. He almost turned around, thinking she had called the wrong guy. But then the door opened. She stood barefoot on the porch in an oversized sweater, hair messy like she'd just woken up from a nightmare. Mid-30s, maybe. Beautiful, but in a quiet, haunted sort of way. "You're Eli?" she asked, arms crossed against the cold. "Yes, ma'am." "You're the one with the light trouble?" She nodded and stepped aside. "I'm Nora." Eli followed her in. The house was spotless but eerily silent. No music. No pets. No signs of anyone else living there. Just a faint smell of lavender and sadness. The bedroom was enormous. A crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, too fancy for someone like Eli to touch. But he got to work. He asked her to turn off the main switch. As he opened the fixture, he noticed the wires had corroded, probably hadn't been maintained in years. "Do you live alone?" he asked gently, not looking down. She hesitated. "Yes. For 5 years now." The silence stretched. Eli finished rewiring the light, careful not to damage the delicate fixture. He replaced the bulb, flipped the switch, and the room flooded with warm gold light. Nora exhaled. "Thank you. I know it's just a light, but I hate the dark. I always have." Eli gave her a kind smile. "Darkness can play tricks on your mind. Especially when you're alone." She nodded, and for a moment, neither of them moved. "Can I offer you coffee?" she asked suddenly. "You must be freezing." Eli hesitated. "I don't want to intrude." "Please. I haven't talked to anyone in days." They sat in her sunroom, mugs in hand, surrounded by glass walls that looked out onto the snowy lawn. She told him her story, bits and pieces at first, then like a dam had broken. She had been a concert pianist, world-renowned, even performed in Vienna. Her husband, Daniel, had been a tech mogul, brilliant but emotionally distant. When he died in a plane crash 5 years ago, Nora inherited everything, except peace. She never played again. She barely left the house. She tried to fill the silence with staff, therapists, even a golden retriever. But none of it stuck. Everyone left eventually. No one stayed long enough to understand the quiet agony of too much space and not enough meaning. Eli listened without judgment. He told her about his garage, his mother, his failures, and how sometimes he fixed things just so he wouldn't fall apart himself. At some point, the sun began to rise. The clock read 6:14 a.m. Nora looked at him, eyes raw with vulnerability. "Stay with me tonight," she whispered. "Not like that. Just, stay. I don't want to wake up to an empty house again." Eli didn't say anything. He just nodded. What started as one night turned into 2, then a week. Eli returned every evening after odd jobs. He fixed more lights, then the old boiler, then a leaky pipe in the greenhouse. Nora began cooking again. She started playing piano once more, first with trembling hands, then with conviction. She laughed again. He found an old room in the mansion she didn't even know existed, converted it into a small garage space, and began fixing old car parts she had no use for. It wasn't about the money. It was about healing. People started noticing. Neighbors who hadn't seen Nora in years saw her walking the grounds again. She donated to local shelters. Eli began mentoring young mechanics from the community. They weren't a couple, not yet. But something sacred had grown between them. Not romance. Not charity. Something deeper, companionship born from brokenness. One day, a journalist showed up at Nora's door, wanting a story about the reclusive millionaire helping the local economy. Nora refused the interview but said, "Talk to Eli. He's the real story." And that's how it happened. A viral article. The Millionaire and the Mechanic, How Two Broken People Rebuilt Each Other. Overnight, Eli was offered jobs, sponsorships, even a show about restoring old cars. He declined most of them. Instead, he and Nora turned the mansion into something more, a place for broken things. A community center. A music room. A mechanic's garage. A home. And if you were to visit that mansion today, you'd see a warm porch light glowing all night. Eli makes sure of it. Every single bulb, perfectly maintained. Because he knows what darkness can do to a soul. And Nora? She still plays piano every morning. Only now, someone always listens. Sometimes, what you fix in the middle of the night isn't just a light. Sometimes, it's a life. And sometimes, it's your own.